Hello, and thank you for joining us again. Here we are, week 3, game 4. Week 3, game 4. I'll be glad when the break comes. Then we can even up and I can get my schedule straight. First off, I want to get a couple of house cleaning items. Thanks for joining us each and every week. It's great to have you, and also to let the people know kind of what's on your mind at this point. And I really appreciate it, and so do the people out there. But jumping right in. Noticed something on Friday night, and I noticed something again, especially on Saturday morning, because I was wrapping up helping you. But I noticed something that you mentioned in the show, and then after hearing the replay of one of your kids who was a WGNS player, one of the biggest things I noticed was the joy that these kids had Friday night and picking up that W.
Absolutely, it was a big win for them, and lots of emotion that was kind of trying to be held back or whatever, but it was a very emotional game for both teams, and a lot riding on that first district game, and then all the emotions that comes with the history of that. Myself being at Smyrna, and it was big for our kids, and so it was great to see our kids celebrate and play so hard. Not always well, but play really hard and find a way to win a big football game.
You just moved into something, not always did what you think. Talk about grading, Coach. I know you're so huge on it. You start your process, even a lot of people do what they got to do, but I know just from hanging around you the last 9 years, you get started on your process real fast, and that is grading kids and getting going.
We evaluate pretty quickly, and we evaluate on Friday nights when I evaluate. We won't go to bed until we evaluate the video as myself. I don't make the whole staff do that. Everybody else does it a little bit differently. But I think it's very important for me, the way I prepare and the way I want to prepare is that I get it kind of put out of my mind before I go to bed. Sometime a wee hour Saturday morning, usually. But we do a lot of evaluation of our kids, and I just think it's important so you can correct things. I mean, playing football games and not being corrected means they're probably not learning very much. So we do evaluate heavily, and we get that input back to our kids on Monday so we can make corrections.
And the best part about it is you get to show some things. This is where you kind of botch things up. Had you make that one block, you realize the other 20 players on the field, you didn't have any idea what they were doing. But at that point in time, had you made that block, the kid behind him is gone. You couldn't see it through your rear view mirror. And as he gets better, he starts to understand.
Right. I think video is what can teach kids. I mean, they don't realize some of the things they do on the field until you show them on video. And sometimes you tell kids that those 5 plays are going to determine the game. Those 5 big plays. Well, they never think it's going to be this play. And so sometimes a missed block or sometimes a great block, or whether it's positive or negative, giving great effort, all of a sudden that is the play of the game. And if you're not ready, if you're not playing as hard as you can every single play, and you're not ready, the play of the game might have just passed you by.
Right. 2 more questions. When you start getting into this, do you start developing your trends and starting to say, I know all coaches do, but your time is limited, but you start to think, okay, on a third and 8, I've been successful if I pull this play, or on probabilities on my passes, I'm so many, and you start to get some trends in your portfolio to say, okay, I'm in this situation, my kids can accomplish this easily so many percentage of time based upon the information I have available at my fingertips.
Well, that's what you're talking about, really tendency stuff and tendency breakdowns. And you do look and evaluate your tendencies, and I know what I have a tendency to do, but that means that the defense also understands what that tendency is. And so, sometimes we make conscious efforts to break tendencies.
Yeah.
Because you don't want the defense to understand, on 3rd and 5, 70% of the time he's thrown this or done this. So you break those tendencies. But I think as the year goes on, you know what you do well.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't care if everybody in the stadium knows what you're doing. That's what you're going to do because you're doing really well, and you don't think the other team can stop you no matter what. And that's the attitude I want our kids to have about certain things. But we do get into patterns. We do know what we're good at. We're starting to learn a little bit better about what we're good at and things we're not as good at. And you want to build on those things that you're good at. But at the same time, when it comes to having tendencies, we do have those tendencies, but at the same time, we try to break those down so the opponent knows what's coming.
Great. Last but not least, we're back on tomorrow night. Cambridge Ravens. We understand the Williams kid can be a very explosive player, and not to be underestimated. I know you've been able to evaluate the film. What can you tell us about the Cambridge Ravens?
They're young. They don't have any seniors on the football team. It's a sophomore and junior team, and it's the second year of the school. They're very athletic when they get off the bus. They're very athletic. They run well. They do a lot of things well, but they're still young and not very physically strong and up front at times. And that's what happens when you don't have seniors on your team. It's a team that that probably we're favored to win. We should be favored to win against.
Sure.
But what I've told our kids this week, and what I hope they understand, they need to understand that we're in trouble, is that it doesn't matter who you play. Emotions change, but intensity never does.
No, because you should enjoy that moment, that Friday night. It's your game, because that's your game. That's the opponent in front of you.
Right, intensity's got to be the same, and that's a challenge for our kids. You're coming off a big game and all those kind of things from last week, but last week doesn't matter anymore. Now it's this week, and I hope our kids are mature enough to understand it. I think they are. We have good senior leadership, and I think when you have good senior leadership, that means you shouldn't have letdowns, and you shouldn't have a bad week. I think it's extremely important that every week you step forward, because sometimes when you step backwards, it's hard to get it going back forward. And that's what I've told our kids. I don't beat around the bush. I tell them this game we should win. I mean, right or wrong or indifferent, we're favored to win. We should win. We have seniors on our football team, and they don't have any. But it's a game that if we just show up, I think we're going to just, the bee on the side of our helmet's going to scare them to death. That's not happening.
No.
I mean, we got to come out ready to play. And I really have a lot of confidence that our kids will come out at 7:30. Lights are on, it's homecoming, that our kids will be excited about that.
And last but not least, because I do want to put something out, because there was a sideline comment made as I follow a lot of different venues out there saying, well, that's a weak schedule, but Philip Shadowens didn't make that schedule. That schedule was already set. You just inherited that, and you're playing that card.
Right, we're playing what was scheduled when I got here. I didn't have anything to do with it, but at the same time, when you say it's a weak schedule, okay, Tullahoma was a playoff team last year, Lincoln County was a playoff team last year, Station Camp was a playoff team last year, and Brentwood High School is a playoff team and ranked in the top 10 in the state. So Cane Ridge wasn't. So 4 of our 5 non-district games were playoff teams last year. So there's no way for us to predict from year to year how good somebody's going to be. And everybody wants to talk about how Tullahoma wasn't very good or Lincoln County was down this year, and maybe that's the case. I don't know. It depends on what we'll see at the end of the year. But 4 of our 5 non-district games were against last year's playoff football team. So weak schedule. I don't think so. Maybe this is someone that you generally didn't schedule. They were having a tough time scheduling, so we had to find somebody to play, is what I was told. And that's what happened with Cane Ridge. So.
And it gets into travel and things like that. But I know in the past, now, you're not scared to take on anybody out there. If they're willing to come to your stadium and vice versa, and y'all trade a game, I mean, I've never seen you say, well, I'm not going there. I mean, you would take on.
We want to play good people. And because I think it's fun for the kids to play good people.
Yeah.
Our schedule is a little bit different in a year. But now every game is important. Non-district and district games are important. But I've always generally, my philosophy has been to play the best around and see where you stand. And they stack up against one another and see who's going to win a football game. And I think the kids enjoy that. But our schedule this year is not a bad schedule. It is a good schedule. Many playoff teams on it, and then there are 5 district games, of course, are tough. And I'm not really too concerned about people criticizing the schedule. I don't really care what they think.
They don't suit up, but we keep trying to tell them this. They don't get, neither you nor I, it's the kids. They're the ones suiting up. Exactly. We get to watch them on Friday night. Really, that time is for them.
Right.
You just try to coach them through it and let them have the victory.
Right. It's their
spotlight. You take the loss.
It's their spotlight. It's their time to shine. It's their once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to play high school football. And I want it to be about all those kids and how hard they've worked. And looking forward to tomorrow night, because I know our kids have prepared well this week. They should be ready to go at 7:30. I would expect it to be our best game of the year to this point, because that's what good football teams do.
There we go. All righty. Well, join us tomorrow night. I think Philip's already spilled the beans, Coach Shadowens, and that is homecoming, 7:30. Another big crowd, so a lot of people will be out. Man's been fantastic as they move right with us. And Cane Ridge Ravens, Blackman Blaze at the Inferno tomorrow night, 7:30.